the start of round 2 of the Race Parts 750 Formula Championship season. Red lights go on there, and they go out. Away they go then. And it's Pither on the right-hand side of picture in the number 69 car with the orange stripes. Peter Bove in the orange car is alongside him, trying to go down the inside into Copse Corner for the first time there. At the back, you've got 67 Paul Mason, is there, I beg your pardon, in the Derby. And alongside him, 28 Alan Bunter as they head through Copse for the first time. So it looks like Pither's made good his pole position, and Mick Harris spins. And unfortunately, he gets out of the way of everyone. Steve Boother also has a spin separately. Well, that was all a bit bizarre, Andy.
Yeah, so Boother got into Chris Goff. They both spun. They made contact trying to avoid the initial spinner. So that you can see Chris Goff there, the pink number 4 car, well down the order after that as well. But quite lucky, actually, that there wasn't any more significant contact than that. We've seen a couple of incidents down there on the opening lap of races today. Leaders, though, come out of Luffield for the first time. It is going to be Pither with the lead. Peter Bove almost got his nose ahead going through Copse at the start of the race, but just wasn't able to make it stick. And now he already is starting to feel the pressure from Mark Glover and Raymond Barley, who is now 4th overall and well and truly going with them.
Yeah, absolutely right. So a bit of shaking out to be done in the course of this race. There is Bob Simpson, number 5, going up the inside of number 3, Andrew Kemp, into the right-hander Copse Corner there to take the place away. So he's up into 5th position. Meanwhile, here's the battle for 2nd. 1, Peter Bove, last year's champion. 2, Mark Glover, last year's runner-up, but the winner in the classification of the opening race of 2021. Ed Pither out in front, though, in the PRS that's had championship success in the past in the hands of David Bartholomew, who also was a low-cost champion previous to that as well. Bove, 5 times a champion now, twice champion. Mark Glover tries to go around the outside of him. Darby on the inside, Race Kits Falcon on the outside, having to go over the white line and over the curbs there was Mark Glover. He's tucked back in behind Bove now, but he's going to pull out of the slipstream again as they come through Woodcut and onto the pit straight. He's going to put him on the outside line, though, for Copse Corner. All of this music to the ears of Ed Pither, who's able to get away, but look, there he goes. Mark Glover sweeps around the outside of Peter Bove and up into 2nd place.
That was some commitment, wasn't it, from Mark Glover to go around the outside at Copse Corner. Fantastic stuff. Into 2nd. Now, although he did briefly get himself ahead of Peter Bove earlier on, they were never really separated by a huge amount, and in the end Glover did pit Bove to the line, but he never really had this chance to pull away, did he? Let's see if he can do that now. At the moment it doesn't look good for him, does it? Because Bove is right back in the slipstream down the Wellington Straight, forcing Glover to drive defensively. Goes to the outside, but I don't think that'll work. There goes Barley in 4th, Bob Simpson still 5th, Andrew Kemp is 6th, and in the background, look, Chris Goff starting to make some progress again. He's now at the inside of Richard Jenkins, having already got past the number 12 of Conway Dorr on this lap, so Goff moving forwards, and of course the other two, Mick Harris and Steve Boother, who were also involved in shenanigans at Beckett's on lap 1, should also be entertaining to watch as they too move back to the front.
Yeah, absolutely right. So I think we're in for a good 11.5 minutes that's remaining in this race. We've just seen the battle for 2nd and 3rd go through. Here is our 4th place man, Raymond Barley, who's possibly the loneliest man out there at the moment. Gap back to Bob Simpson 5th, Andrew Kemp 6th, then Matthew Unwin in 7th, and Chris Goff now up to 8th place, so he's made up a couple of places on that lap in the number 4 car, the driver from Shropshire. 11 minutes remaining as the cars disappear down towards Maggots. Andrew Kemp, although Bob Simpson got past him a lap or so ago, Kemp is not giving up. He's going to try and get back ahead of the veteran of more than 5 decades of racing in the 750 Formula Championship. He's driven in it for 5/7 roughly of his existence, of more than 70 years, the 750 Formula Championship. Cars run on slick tyres, of course, powered by 1108cc Fiat Fire engines, but it's a championship that is as much focused on the amateur designer and constructor and engineer who develops the car themselves as it is on the racer. But there's some great racing going on here as well, and Andrew Kemp is putting himself on the inside line for Copse.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to get past Bob Simpson here into Copse Corner, or maybe not. Simpson tried to turn in, then thought better of it, and runs a bit wide, so that might give Matthew Unwin a bit of a run on him, because Matthew's not too far back, second place in Class B. Speaking of second place, Bob Simpson did get a P2, didn't he, at the end of last year, so he's still got it. He's maybe the oldest driver on the grid, but he is still very, very rapid and enjoys a good scrap. So the three blue and white cars getting themselves together here then, 5th, 6th and 7th, and Chris Goff adding a splash of colour to that mix in the pink number 4, you know what I mean, the pink number 4 is closing in, as well he should, because he did originally out-qualify these three.
He did, so he's got 9.5 minutes to try and find a way past them. I'm sure they won't make it easy for him as this race progresses, but Goff, for the second race in a row, having his race compromised in the early stages and needing to make a comeback in the second part of it. So these cars, which are lapping Silverstone in about 1 minute 5s, 1 minute 6s, lap record for these cars, as we mentioned earlier, was a 104.55, and that's still there in the hands of Robin Gearing then. Those three cars then, similar kind of colours really, aren't they? Kemp, Simpson and Unwin all together as they head down towards the right-hander. I think on the last lap, Unwin, yeah, he did close in on the two cars ahead of him to the tune of about 6 tenths per second. Yeah,
they ran side by side, didn't they, through Copse Corner and delayed each other a touch, I would imagine. And yeah, Bob Simpson getting back ahead, but for how much longer? Because Andrew Kemp is back up the inside again, and that's the third position change between these two in less than 2 laps. Brilliant battle this, and Bob Simpson now has it all to do again. There was a spin, I think, just behind them, and I reckon that was Mick Harris, who had been chasing down Chris Goff. Remember, they both went off on the first lap, but I don't think Chris is there. Sorry, I don't think Mick is there anymore. So a spin going through Brooklands for him, unfortunately, and he's got a bit more work to do once more.
Yeah, he has continued in the car that his wife Sue used to race for many years, but she's cheering on from the pit wall, no doubt, today. Just about halfway through this race now, Ed Pither leading. Interestingly, his gap, which was well into the teens, wasn't it, in the first race? It's only 3.5 seconds in this one, so he's not pulled away quite as quickly in this race from Mark Glover and Peter Bove. Those two, there's about 3 seconds between them now, so you're not missing anything in the way of action at the front of the field. This is the best battle of the race, and it is really 4 cars now getting involved, because you've got Andrew Kemp, Bob Simpson, Matthew Unwin, and now the man that's trying to make a move, number 4, Chris Goff.
Yeah, I'm not sure that worked though, actually. I think, no, he stays behind them. This move should work though. This is the second attempt for Mick Harris to get past Conway Door. And actually, no, it doesn't quite work. Conway Door has every right to fight him, of course. They are both in the same class. So scoring points together here. And, well, Mick Harris tries the outside at Luffield. That's always difficult to do. Then jinks back to the inside on the exit, gets on the throttle, and the two cars run wheel to wheel now through Woodcote Corner. Looks as though Mick Harris should make this one stick. He's got the inside line for Copse Corner. They slowly emerge back into view into this really quick right-hander, fastest corner on the track, and it will be Mick Harris that goes up into 9th position, but there's quite a bit of empty track now, about 8.5 seconds worth of empty track before he catches this group, which does now see Chris Goff ahead of Matthew Unwin.
Down the straight they go. I'll tell you a little bit more about Mick Harris if we see him again and what he's doing at the moment, but we're watching the battle between Kemp and Simpson and Goff and Unwin. Goff having made up that position now, up into 7th place, he's now gone. He's had many dices with Bob Simpson down the years. I'm sure Bob will not make it easy for Chris Goff to get past. Having said that, all of a sudden Chris Goff's able to get halfway alongside Bob Simpson. I wonder if Bob made a slight mistake, because Andrew Kemp's advantage has expanded somewhat in the last half a lap or so. So I think Goff has now gone through and up into 6th. Yes, he has. It was relatively easy after all. He's going to chase off in pursuit now of Andrew Kemp to try and get 5th place away, which would be to add to the 7th place that he finished up with in race number 1.
Yes, and also would get him back where he started. He started this one in 5th position on the grid, didn't he? So behind Mick Harris, though, who we know has also spun. It's Ray Barley that's really benefited the most from all of that, up into 4th position. So Goff then gets himself into 6th. He's not actually that close to Andrew Kemp, and actually Bob Simpson's coming back at him now, trying to go to the outside into Brooklands corner. Relatively easy to defend the inside line there, which Chris Goff does successfully, then takes a very wide line into Luffield corner, and that wide line on the entry gives him a lot more momentum through the turn and helps him stretch back away from Bob Simpson again as we move now into the final 5 minutes of the race.
We do indeed just get a glimpse of 67 Paul Mason in 14th position going through shot. He's been lapped already by the race leader, which is still Ed Pither, by the way, 7.18 seconds to the good. Mark Glover and Peter both 2nd and 3rd. Continue to watch this battle for 5th. No, we don't really go back to the battle for 2nd, which isn't really a battle, is it? Because Glover and Bove separated by the best part of 3 seconds now. And then heading into view in the distance, you've got Raymond Barley and that lap Mason car, and then the battle that we've been watching for most of the race, really. Andrew Kemp and Chris Goff now joining him to challenge for 5th position after that spin at the first corner. We also had other cars rotating, or not the first corner, the second corner, had other cars rotating there as well. Bove, meanwhile, turns his way into Copse corner. Fantastic heat haze there. We see here at Silverstone today, and disappearing out of it now is the number 11 car of Raymond Barley, who is in that race kit's Falcon, and he's been driving it very well during the course of this weekend so far. Finished 5th in the opening race, and he's on course to go one better than that this time, because I don't think that he's likely to be caught by Chris Goff by the end with only 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think 5th is as good as it will get here for Chris Goff, but even that's not certain. He's only half a second or so behind Andrew Kemp, but that's not going to be an easy overtake to make. Peter Bove still pushing hard in 3rd place, just did a personal best lap actually. It was still slower than Mark Glover, but he is going quicker now than he has at any previous point in the race as Peter Bove, who had 4 victories on his way to the championship in 2020, only missing out on the top step of the podium in the last 2 races of the year. But Chris Goff here, who also had a podium finish last season, is still trying to find a way ahead of the number 3 of Andrew Kemp, who had 2 podiums last year, so lots of podium pedigree towards the front and indeed the middle of this grid. And Chris Goff, I think, is going to get through here. He's got a good run in the slipstream, he's got a bit more horsepower, I think, underneath him, and he's got the inside line, most importantly, into Copse corner. He's got his nose ahead, gets his full car ahead just about, and although Kemp's going to try and fight back on the exit, that should be enough now for Chris Goff to get back into the top 5.
Absolutely right. So he's about to appear, he does, at Maggots. Different line being taken there by Andrew Kemp. Deeper into the corner he goes, but to no avail. Meanwhile, Ed Pither goes through to complete his 12th lap with 13 and a quarter minutes gone. So 2 minutes, also 2 laps of the race to go. So I think the action in this part of the field has probably come to an end, unless Andrew Kemp can surprisingly make a comeback. You can just see in the background there Mick Harris's number 27 car. Now, he first raced in 750 Formula back in 1975 at Lyddon, where he was 3rd, and he was building Derby 750 Formula cars with the late Dick Harvey and racing in 750 Formula ever since. 10 championships. He's currently converting the Derby 877, which we've seen him race on several occasions over the years and taken championships with it, into a transverse engined car, so that's why he's borrowing his wife Sue's car for this season. So there's Harris. We're just talking about him there. He was introduced by his lifelong friend Dick Harvey. His favourite circuit is Cadwell Park. It's quite common favourite circuits amongst drivers is Cadwell, for reasons that are probably obvious. It's picturesque and it's a real challenge for the drivers as well, something a bit different to Silverstone, Andy, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're complete polar opposites, aren't they, those two circuits, really? Both have their own merits, it must be said, but yeah. Right, so Mick Harris gaining ground now. He's up ahead of Matthew Unwin. This really is the last remaining unanswered question, isn't it? How far up the order will Mick Harris get after his 2 spins? I think the answer might be 7th place, because he should be able to get past Bob Simpson, but we are going on to the final lap now, so he hasn't really got time to catch Andrew Kemp ahead. I say he'll get past Bob Simpson. We know that Bob won't make it easy for him. They almost touched through Woodcote. That was unnecessarily close, I'd say. I don't think they quite traded paint, but it got very, very close indeed. Now Mick Harris gives him as much space as he can, and actually that little squeeze did keep Bob Simpson in front.
Meanwhile, Ed Pither coming through Woodcote Corner for the final time. Well, he won the first race on the road, but lost it in the scrutineering bay. He takes the checkered flag to finish race 2 as winner. So round 2 of the Race Part 750 Formula Championship goes, provisionally at least, to Ed Pither.
Thank you very much, Ian. Yes, Ed Pither, you join us back in the pit lane. We didn't manage to speak to you the first time around, but we are speaking to you now. Now, of course, you had a disaster at the end of the first race, of course, coming in a kilo underweight, which is a huge shame, but hopefully this time around we get to redeem ourselves.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We've added some ballast to the car, and hopefully that'll do enough. So, yeah, hopefully so it'll redeem us.
Well, that race, again, looked exactly the same, a carbon copy from race 1 earlier today. Cool, calm, collected, just sailed away with it.
Yeah, sat on the line. That's kind of what I had in my mind, was just do what I did earlier and try and do the same thing again. And unfortunately, I didn't get quite as good a start as this morning, but when we went up through the gears, I got a good run on Pete, I think, as we changed up. And that did enough to get me out in front. And it's a lot easier once you get out in front. With other people tripping over each other, it gets easier.
I can imagine so. And of course, Silverton, with it being such a fast circuit, you know, racing in these cars, it must be excellent fun.
It is. There's some really great fast corners here. It particularly suits this car, actually. It's quite slippery. And the first corner and the second corner up there are just awesome in it. It really pulls and feels great. It's good fun as a driver.
Oh, well, excellent stuff. Well, congratulations again, and well done, Ed Pither.
Thank you very much.
Excellent stuff. Well, if you can hear them just behind me, an excellent race we had there from the 750 Formula, but we had an exciting race first time around for the Type R trophies, and they're about to head out and circuit again.